Oh, I don't feel too good. Oh, oh, oh. Alrighty then. That's crazy, Mr. Putin, my man Putin. Like, why y'all fucking with me? What did I do? Why y'all can't fuck with him? What the hell? And he's like, this is the last warning, leave me alone. Why can't I have one war? I can't have one war. Like, every time I go to do something, I'm the bad guy, but y'all can go all over the place. Talking about every country here, there, over there, there. Oh my god. This country did something so wrong. Oh my god. It don't even have to be the country itself. It could just be one corrupt leader. Oh, we're in there. We're in there like swimwear. What? Honestly, like, we got the war on drugs over here, and they're right here affecting our country. And for some reason, they're even in our country. Illegally. And we don't care about that. No. We don't care about little girls getting raped and shit. But we care about some shit happening all the way over there in Israel or in Ukraine. Like, come on, that's their war. Can we just focus on our war? Like, we're always over somewhere else, man. And I get it. We're trying to be the good kids. You know? We're like that bully in school that actually believes it's a good guy. He's like, oh, that kid was talking to the girl. She clearly doesn't want to be talked to, so I'm gonna walk over and beat him up. Like, I'm gonna beat him up, bro. This kid didn't finish his sandwich. He's gotta finish his sandwich. That's healthy. I'm gonna beat him up. My mom always tells me to finish my sandwich. I'm gonna shove it in his mouth. He's gonna feel the sandwich going down his throat, and he's gonna thank me later. That's how we are. And it just confuses me that drugs can be flooding over the borders, and then I'm not even seeing this as a big deal to me. I'm saying that they're pretending it's a big deal, talking about the war on drugs and all this, and American citizens are getting felonies and getting buried under the prison for even looking at the stuff because of the war on drugs. But then, like, it doesn't seem like the war really happened anywhere else except for here. Like, only when the American citizen did something, it's like, I mean, the whole country over there is corrupt, and they're just the government's allowing this to happen in your country, and you don't go to war with them. But then some country all the way across the fucking seas does one small little thing, and you're like, okay, let's go blow them up. I'm confused. A lot of hypocrisy going on, and I think Russia is pretty much sick of that. But maybe I'm just too kind. Like, I don't see anyone as a bad guy unless they're really actually a bad guy. Like, and when they're called bad by a person, I start to evaluate that person versus that person. Like, because I want to know what good means to that guy. You know, that's saying he's bad. Because if I don't know what bad is for him, then it's irrelevant. But this is like when I see a serial killer come into a room and point the finger at another guy and say he's a thief, arrest him. And I'm like, aren't we looking for you for killing like 8 different women? Like, be that as it may, that he might have actually been a thief, and that is against the law, yes. But the accuser, like, what? What? Like, if you don't get your hands behind your back, I mean, you are doing the same thing. Russia gives weapons to the enemy in Cuba. That's so bad. Evil. Terrible. We give weapons and missiles and shit to Ukraine to use on Russia. Suddenly it's not a bad thing anymore. I mean, come on. I think the biggest problem here is I don't know who's the enemy and who's not, because it's like it doesn't depend on who's the enemy, it depends on who. Because like, if one country does it, it's okay. The other country does it, it's bad. For instance, like, Israel attacks Palestine or whatever. They're fighting over land or whatever. That's okay. We support Israel. Hey, we're sending them money. You know? But then it flip-flops. You know? And why did it flip-flop? Like, Russia was here first. If anyone has a claim to that land, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the problem. I don't know. I feel like there's something I can't trust here going on. It depends on the who. Might even rhyme with that. It's just scary though that we're about to experience nuclear war apparently, and everyone be incinerated to dust, and we don't even know why. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I don't think any disagreement is this important, guys. Like, what is going on? I mean, let's Google it. Why are we involved? Why are we helping Ukraine? Why are we helping Ukraine? I can't wait to see their explanation. Wallander said the United States wants a Ukraine that is sovereign, independent, and secure, adding that the Ukrainian people do not want Russian overlords and are fighting for their freedom. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. The United States wants a Ukraine that is sovereign, independent, and secure. How would that help you? I mean, what? That doesn't even make sense. Okay, so the reason we're shipping them missiles and money is because we want them to be sovereign, independent, and secure. Isn't that like the opposite? If you want them to be independent, then why are you shipping them missiles? They can handle it. They're sovereign. They're independent. They're secure. So they don't need us. Clearly. I don't understand that. That doesn't sound like a real reason. Am I crazy? That doesn't even make sense. Why can't we have a Russia that's sovereign, independent, and secure? Like, so that doesn't really explain why you picked Ukraine over Russia. Like, again, this sounds more like the WHO. You want this particular country on this particular part of the map to be independent, sovereign, and secure. Why? It seems more like you want bases all over the world, so you want little small, like, landing zones, landing strips for your military. You want a military close enough to Russia. That, like, that's what it seems like more. It has nothing to do with independent and secure and sovereign. Either that or it has to do with who's really controlling this shit. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. What does the US get from Ukraine? There's another question on Google. In 2022, 1.5 billion in US imports from Ukraine. The top commodity sectors were base metals, iron, steel, tools, and the US imports from the country. I don't know, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but 1.5 billion isn't a lot. I mean, it adds up, sure. But, like, we get more from fucking Easy Pass than Ukraine. Like, Easy Pass is bringing in more money for the government than the fucking Ukraine. Okay, let's look at this. What is Russia's reason for invading Ukraine? I wonder what their excuse is. Putin espoused irredentist and and neo-imperialist views, challenging Ukraine's legitimacy as a state. Falsely claimed that Ukraine was governed by neo-Nazis, persecuting the Russian minority, and said that Russia's goal was to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. Okay. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't completely agree with either side at this point, but I will say, when I looked at why we're helping Ukraine versus why Ukraine is getting invaded by Russia, according to Russia, Russia's reasons sounds like it just makes more sense. They're persecuting the Russian minority, according to him. It's governed by neo-Nazis. It isn't a legitimate state. Okay. So, we gotta prove that. We gotta see if that's true. With our explanation, there's nothing to prove. It just says, oh, United States wants a Ukraine that's sovereign, independent, and secure. I don't really understand what that even means, but there's nothing to prove or disprove there. It's like, we're sending missiles to them because we want them to be sovereign. Now what we need to figure out is, what's the first one? Not a legitimate state. Let's see when Ukraine was formed. Wikipedia. Not that we can trust Wikipedia, but Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe and the second largest European country after Russia, which borders blah 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 blah. During the Middle Ages, Ukraine was the site of early Slavic expansion. The area later became a key center of East Slavic culture under the state of Kiev and Rus, which emerged in the 9th century. The state eventually disintegrated into rival regional powers and was destroyed by the Mongol invasions in the 13th century. The area then was contested, divided, and ruled by a variety of external powers for the next 600 years, including the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Austrian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Tsardom of Russia. So they was just getting ruled by everybody. The Cossack Hetmanate emerged in central Ukraine in the 17th century, but was partitioned between Russia and Poland and absorbed by the Russian Empire. Okay, so they went from being ruled by literally everybody to being absorbed by Russia. So it's Russia now, it sounds. Ukrainian nationalism developed, and following the Russian Revolution in 1917, the short-lived Ukrainian People's Republic was formed. Bolsheviks consolidated control over much of the former empire and established the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. What? So the Bolsheviks are the ones that took power of Ukraine? Am I reading this right? So we're supporting the Bolsheviks? What? Hold on, I gotta reread this. Maybe I should not be doing this under the influence. Matter of fact, let me take a sip of water and read this one more time. Dude, Walmart water has the worst caps. Jesus Christ. Hold on, before we even do this, let's click on the Russian Revolution to see what we can find on that. The Russian Revolution was a period of political and social change in Russia. Starting in 1917, this period saw Russia abolish its monarchy and adopt a socialist form of government following 2 successive revolutions and a civil war. It can also be seen as the precursor for the other revolutions that occurred in the aftermath of World War I, such as the German Revolution, 1918 through 1919. The Russian Revolution was one of the key events of the 20th century. The Russian Revolution was inaugurated with the February Revolution in early 1970. It's in the World War. Blah 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 blah. What is going on? The German Empire dealing major defeats on the war front. Blah blah blah. The Russian army was steadily losing morale. Large-scale mutiny looming. High officials were convinced that if Tsar Nicholas blah 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 abdicated, the unrest would subdue. Nicholas agreed and stepped down, ushering in a new provisional government led by the Russian Duma, the parliament. During the civil unrest, Soviet councils were formed by the locals, blah blah blah, provisional blah blah blah, Soviet blah blah blah, Russia blah blah blah, the provisional blah blah blah. During its chaotic period, blah blah blah, social democrats mentioned. Alright. Initially, the Bolsheviks were a marginal faction. However, they won popularity with their program promising peace, land, and bread. Cease war with Germany, give land to the peasantry, and end the wartime famine. Despite the virtually universal hatred of the war, the provisional government chose to continue fighting to support its allies, giving the Bolsheviks and other socialist faction a justification to advance the revolution further. Bolsheviks merged various workers' militias loyal to them into the Red Guards, which would be strong enough to seize power. Interesting. That sounds like treason to me. Okay, the volatile situation reached its climax with the October Revolution, a Bolshevik armed insurrection by workers and soldiers in Petrograd that overthrew provisional government, transferring all its authority to the Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks, acting in the framework of the Soviet councils, established their own government and later proclaimed the establishment of the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. Under pressure from the German military offensive, the Bolsheviks soon relocated the national capital to Moscow. They began the process of reorganizing the former empire into the world's first socialist state to practice Soviet democracy on a national and international scale. Promised to end Russia's participation in the First World War, fulfilled when the Bolshevik leaders signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, blah blah blah, with Germany in March 1918. Scared to please blah 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 blah. As the war progressed, they began to establish Soviet power in the newly independent republics that succeeded from the Russian Empire. They focused its efforts on the newly independent republics of Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, and Ukraine. Wartime cohesion and intervention from foreign powers prompted them to begin unifying these nations under one flag and created the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Historians generally consider the end of the revolutionary period to be in 1922, when the Russian Civil War concluded the defeat of the White Army and most separatist factions, leading to mass immigration from Russia. The victorious Bolshevik Party reconstituted itself into the All-Union Communist Party and would remain in power for the following 69 years. Okay, so pretty sure the Bolsheviks were bad people. I'm pretty sure. But let's Google it. Let's Google it. Were the Bolsheviks bad? Yep. It says that the Bolsheviks are bad people. What did the Bolsheviks do? Bolshevik Party, formally established in 1912, seized power in Russia in the October Revolution and was later renamed the Russian Communist Party, All-Union, blah blah blah. What are the negative effects? Following that, blah blah blah, mass shortages by the 1920s and hyperinflation had arrived. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. So these random ass motherfuckers just randomly decided, hey, we don't want to be a part of the country anymore. We're going to make our own country, but we're going to do it in your country, with your country. Kind of sounds familiar. Alright, so let's see. Basically, where the Bolsheviks went wrong was trying to achieve socialism alone and not trying harder to get other countries on board with them. So, from what I understand, Putin's right. Okay, so let's close this tab. Close this tab. Because if I remember right, the Bolsheviks were really the bad people. that was the only reason Russia was bad, from what I read. I mean, not the only reason. Those were the main dudes. The main ones that were evil. So then they branched off into other countries. Mind you, this was treason. They left their posts, stole land, stole government. So they're not a real state. So I can kind of see where Putin's coming from. Let's look. Putin challenging their legitimacy as a state. Okay, that seems somewhat understandable. No country supported that decision. The people that the land was originally owned by didn't support that decision. I mean, no one really supported that. That's kind of like America taking this land from the Native Americans. And the Native Americans being like, well, we want our shit back. So I can kind of understand that. It says he falsely claimed that Ukraine was governed by neo-Nazis, persecuting the minority. I mean, the Bolsheviks. That's pretty true. Let me see. Neo-Nazi definition. I don't understand what this word means. It just says a member of an organization similar to the German Nazi Party. Similar in what way? Like, anyway? They were human, so I'm a neo-Nazi? Like, there has to be a better definition than this. An organization similar to the German Nazi Party. Alright, so I don't really see what neo-Nazi. I refuse to really assume what it means, because that's how you have that's when you get a nation like ours, where everybody has their own definition of it, and they'll change the definition of the word, without changing the definition of the word. You know, they'll fucking make that word a bad word when it's not really a bad word. Let me try to find an example. You know, kind of like anti-Semite. Like, what does this even mean? Like, you're called an anti-Semite because you don't want your tax dollars that are for your community and for your people being sent overseas for someone else's people that have never helped our people ever. Like, I mean, what does the word really mean now? Like, what does it really mean? I feel like transphobe too, because it's like, I don't have anything against any kind of people, except people that lie to me, deceive me in any way, don't have my best interests at heart, want to hurt me or anything like that, or just bad people. So also people that are controlling. I don't like that either. If I want to do this, and that's the way I want to do it, then why do I have to do it your way? You know? I mean, what's next? People are going to be like, well, why on the bathroom signs are the stick people white? Why are they white? Not everybody's white. That's racist. Fine, we'll make them black. That's racist. I don't think anyone was thinking that this stick was supposed to represent a race. Like, what are we supposed to paint a Mona Lisa and be like, that's who is allowed in this bathroom? That, right there. Only that. And let's just bypass the fact that it's a woman and this clearly means women's bathroom. Let's say, oh, it's a white woman. Let's just bypass that and say that this is racist. So now we have to paint a Mona Lisa that is somehow every race at the same time because you thought that was possible somehow in your perfect world. How are we supposed to make it every race at the same time? That doesn't exist. So you have like these unrealistic expectations and you want control. That's the problem I have with the trans community for the most part. I have to redo all of my pronouns. Every word I've learned since the beginning of time, I have to relearn right now on the spot because you said so. Like, I'm sure if I, as a straight male, multi-raced, can find so many things in our community that offend me if I was looking for it that hard. And I would somehow go to reshape the entire world because they're not listening to me. And they should be. Like, now you get your own bathroom. What's next? Like, black people get their own bathroom? Isn't that kind of like segregation, though? Think about it. Like, maybe we should just stick everybody in the same bathroom. Just take the stick figure off. That would make it easy. Because everybody goes in the same bathroom. Man, woman, child, half woman. Like, it doesn't matter. Animals. Let's bring the pigs. Let's be inclusive. Get the pigs and the birds. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure we separated each other for a reason. And when you look at segregation, now this might make a couple people upset, but you look at segregation. We ended segregation, and then it happened anyways, naturally, because that's just human nature. For instance, when they have all white water fountains and all white schools and all white this, and they're not allowed to sit on the back of the bus or whatever, they fought it. They fought it really hard and they won. And they went off to make all black schools and all black colleges. Like, how is it racist if white people have an all-white college, but then you have all black colleges, and that's not racist somehow? It's empowering. Okay, black power is okay, but white power isn't. Is this a rebellion? It's just a little weird to me. And then you don't like the N-word, but you use the N-word, and you're keeping the word alive. Like, people would have forgot about this word by now if you guys didn't say it more often than anyone, and now anyone who even feels like they somewhat relate to black people start to fall in love with the word. And then they're not allowed to say it, so when they're singing along to their favorite song, they can't. Like, when they say I'm not racist, I have black friends, somehow that makes them more racist. Saying that. Then they feel like there's nothing they can do and they're just destined to be racist. So sometimes they just become racist. Like, fuck it. But then you see segregation happening naturally in other ways. Like, you go to almost every major city in America, what do you see? You see that there's a white side and a black side. And it hurts me being mixed and being half black. It hurts me to see from an open mind progress of the race. And knowing that a lot of the times we're kind of doing that to ourselves. Like, it hurts me. It's almost like we want to be something, but we don't want them to call us that something. Like, it's weird. Like, anytime there's a white rapper, like, people get mad, like, oh, he wants to be black. What? What? So only black people can be thugs? Shit like that. It's a very weird thing to experience. It's like they almost want to be that. In your music, everything is. But if someone were to call you that, you'd be like, why? Because I'm black? I mean, kinda. I mean, like, well, bro, like, usually when you go to the black side of a city, and this again hurts me to say this, it's usually the side where your car goes missing. And it sucks. You go to the white side, and that's where all the fancy restaurants are, and that's where you have to pay to park. Paid parking everywhere, and it just annoys the fuck out of me. There's no parking spots anywhere. Then you go to the black side, and it's like, yeah, there's parking, but your car's not going to be there when you get back. Like, which is worse? Paying a ridiculous amount for parking and going into this fancy restaurant where it costs a ridiculous amount of money and everything is just ridiculous, or your car is gone. I want a mixture. I want to be right there in the middle. I think society would be perfect. But it just won't happen, because when you stick a white person and a black person together, somehow eventually it's going to result in one of them being considered racist. And fortunately, it's most likely going to be the white person, because black people aren't allowed to be racist. If I go out and say the white man is the devil, no one's going to look at that and be like, okay, he's racist. They're going to be like, well, it's reparations. He used to do this. I mean, come on, dude. Like, slavery has ended a long time ago. Like, it was a white person that ended it. Now, we look at all the black people and give them credit in Black History Month. Like Harriet Tubman, for instance. But we ignore the fact that Harriet Tubman was only able to do that because a white household, a white family, assisted her the entire way. But you don't even know their names. You don't even know their fucking names. It's never in the history, the black history. And it's like they just ignore that white people helped them out of that situation. They also ignore that black people played a role in that shit too. Like, oh, you just went over to Africa and purchased a bunch of slaves, and the people that you purchased it from just, of course, you don't hear about them. Selling your own people to them as slaves. It's just like, it was a shitty time in history, and I think everybody knows that, including white people. And somehow the only people allowed to complain about it are black people. Ridiculous. Do an exercise. Like, next time you hear someone's crying about racism or how the white man holds them down, or they can't get a job because the white man is holding them down or something like that, just analyze it a little bit. Just analyze it and take color out of it. Just be like, okay, let me pretend for a second this is a white guy talking like this. Let me analyze it. Or a German or fucking Asian or something. Just analyze it for a little bit, and you'll usually it's like, bro, you're a fucking idiot. Can't get a job because you're not trying. You're just not. You're not using common sense. You gotta play the part, bro. But that's like, oh, he wants to be white. You went to college. You tuck your shirt in. You don't sag your pants. You must want to be white. No, I want to get a job. Like, it's just common sense. Like, fucking pull your fucking pants up, spin your hat around, or take it off, and get your job. Then you can go home and pull your pants right back down. Like, you don't have to. Just play the part. Hoodies are okay, but when you walk into a bank with a hood on, I'm sorry. Like, it's time or place for everything. And work is not, or a job interview is not the place for that type of shit. Sometimes you have to set the ebonics to the side. Looking at this, and getting no help. No help. Our community is falling apart. And we're getting no help from our government. They out there worrying about Russia. The Bolsheviks. That's who owns Ukraine from what I understand. And they took it from Russian territory. If I'm reading this right. And, okay, so he's saying they're governed by neo-Nazis. They're persecuting the Russian minority. That sounds like, and they're not a true legitimate state. Seem like valid reasons. Let's type in, why is Ukraine fighting Russia? Really curious. The Russo-Ukrainian War began in February 2014 following Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity. Stop. So they started it. I mean, like, this is like me going up into a playground. I look at the biggest, buffest motherfucker on there, and I walk up to him and then smack him in the face. And then he folds me up like a pretzel, and I call out, "Oh, somebody help me!" This one tosses in steroids and cocaine and PCP, and I mix them all together and then just turn into a demon and punch them out. That's someone that threw that in as America. But why? He started it. Let's keep reading. Following Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity. I don't know what that means. Russia occupied and annexed Crimea from Ukraine. But that's kind of what you did in the first place. And supported pro-Russian separatists fighting the Ukrainian military. In the Donbas War. So, it seems like pro-Russian areas in Ukraine got occupied by Russia because they were pro-Russian and they intentionally wanted to fight in the war with the Russians. That's exactly how it happened when you took over. It's like the exact fucking thing. So it's okay when you do it, but not when they do it, is what I'm reading, at least. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but this just to me seems like they're doing the same thing that lost them that land in the first place. Okay, let's see. These first 8 years of conflict also included naval incidents and cyber warfare. From which side, though? Relations between the two countries became hostile after 2014 Ukrainian Revolution, which was followed by a Russian exit. Blah, 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 blah. That's the same thing. Oh man, it says Putin said the operation was to protect the people of the Russian-controlled breakaway republics. It says here he falsely claimed. Why do they have to add that word falsely? But yet don't provide proof that it was false. On almost every other Wikipedia post, they would just say he claimed and leave it at that. See, he somehow, let's reword this. He claimed that they had been facing humiliation and genocide perpetrated by the Kiev regime. Okay, so was he? Were they? I mean, it's very possible. I wouldn't put this past them when the Bolsheviks were doing the same thing. This seems like what the Bolsheviks did. The Bolsheviks took over Russia. The Bolsheviks created Ukraine, apparently. And now the Bolsheviks are doing what Bolsheviks have done. That seems pretty likely. I mean, am I crazy? I don't know. It seems like every website I go to has different information. So it's kind of hard to know what's true and what's not. But what I do know is no one's going to go to war and threaten nuclear warfare for no reason. I mean, plus, the things that are happening seem like things that have happened before. And there's just too many countries saying the same thing before they get annihilated and taken over. It's like they're all saying the same thing. And it's always that they're falsely claiming it. I don't know, man. Let's say that they are falsely claiming it. I mean, even so, that's their business, bro. You kind of went into a hostile country, took over their parts of their country, and then they want it back. Like, I don't really see how that's my fucking problem. I really don't. My tax money's supposed to go towards my shit. How dare you increase how much taxes I gotta pay to get some alcohol? Or to get some damn weed or something. But then you got the nerve to send it over there. They need to pay for my liquor tax. Then we're square. If you pay for our liquor tax, we'll help you. Do something to help us. Like, I will fucking go over and fight myself. If you can bring prices on something down. If you can cover my income tax. No income tax for anyone ever anymore in America. If we go out and fight for Ukraine. I'll be out there today. Alright? But right now it's just a deficit. It's a deficit, bro. I don't want to do this. So next year they could be like, oh, you owe. You owe. And then I try to get an itemized receipt which won't happen. I won't know why I owe, but I'll be pretty sure it's because we sent all of our fucking money over to Ukraine and Israel. Just really interesting. I don't know, man. I usually can tell when something's bullshit because when you try to look into it, they always use vague words and they're not giving details. They make claims, but they don't back those claims up. And it gets a little weird. And it is just really, it's a scary feeling when you randomly go on YouTube to figure out how to make your dayz server work better. And the first thing you see is Putin like, okay, if you guys don't leave me the fuck alone, I'm gonna blow you up and there's nothing you can do about it because I have missiles that can go Mach 10, hypersonic, and nuclear capable. Leave me the fuck alone. And you're like, oh shit, that could destroy my whole house. It could destroy everyone I know and love. Like, I got family elsewhere in the world that I won't be able to get to in time. Like, why are we doing this? Why don't we just leave them alone? And then I look at why we're there in the first place helping, and it doesn't make any damn sense. So now I'm confused. That's a hard feeling to have, is when you don't really know why you are there in the first place. I mean, dude. They waged war on a country. This is pretty normal. This is a pretty normal occurrence. Countries go to war. Is that a violation somehow? Or is it only a violation when Russia does it? I don't get it. Some of the shit we've done in the past, if Russia were the ones doing that, it would be nuclear war. Instantly. No, everyone's allowed to do it but Russia. Dude, Israel bombs our battleships, killing a bunch of people. And they like, oops. Actually, I think they lied about it at first. They were like, it was an accident. So some of the soldiers on there that witnessed it, that survived, said it was definitely intentional. And next thing you know, we're sending them money. Cool. Cool. The Japanese do the same thing. Oh, we're over there. If Russia did that, oh, we would have nuked their whole fucking country right off the bat. So it's like who is allowed to do these things and who isn't? I need a list. Otherwise, how are we supposed to govern this? How am I supposed to say, yeah, he deserved that? Right here on this piece of paper it says Israel can do that and Russia can't. And it was signed by Putin. Well, okay then, send the troops over. But we need that in writing, man. Like, right? Right? Where's the recent tab? I just want to know how many people are in this server right now, because 4763. There's only 9 people in there. That's fucking perfect. Okay. That is fucking perfect. Gear fear. I don't have gear fear, I have progress fear. And yes, they can be the same thing, but To me, it's not gear fear. It's not a bad thing. If I spent fucking 3 hours getting this loot just to die, that would kind of upset me, yes. Oh god, it is raining like a motherfucker. We need to find shelter. I'm scared. If this was PUBG, I'd fall. This game lets you run down a slope without launching midair and just... Do trees block rain or something? Like, it feels like it does. Or at least it looks like it does. Like, look at that spot right here. There's no rain. Alright, so I have 2 fish left. Alright, before I go into a house, do I have a knife? I better wait till I get closer. Then it's gonna get damp. I like that house. I'd cry. Woo! That looked real! Alright, so far I like this. It does have a stove, okay. Man, I need some curtains, bro. I wonder if aiming your bag towards the fire actually makes it dry faster. Or if that's just... I feel like this game is realistic enough for that to be a thing. I'm gonna use this whole 15 minutes waiting for the rain. Waterproof gear would be nice. I also like storage. Okay, literally just in time. I don't usually like taking medicine because I don't trust anything. Trust my body, immune system. We're gonna try this pink bismuth tablet. This Pepto-Bismol style upset stomach reliever. They actually don't taste that bad. Now, knowing dayz, it stopped raining, but it's gonna rain again as soon as I go outside. Honestly, throwing up made me feel better than anything. Server will be restarted in 2 minutes. What do we wanna loot next? I don't even know where we're at, bro. I'd be so mad if I did all that to get dry. It started raining again as soon as I leave. What are we looking for? Pot would be nice. There needs to be a way to craft a pot in this game. I mean, I understand they kind of want you to have to go to the city for water. I kind of want to just sit in the woods and hunt animals. Green garage key. Alright, so we're... I just had north. That'd be good. Good, loot this first. Looks like all of this has been looted.
into three sections, like we did Berezino in the last episode. Lower, middle, upper. Because we've come around this way from Brig, we're actually at upper Berezino first. But if you decide to stick to the road or the railway track where Baseball Batman was heading, you'd probably go into lower or middle Berezino first. Chernigorsk first. So I'm going up the hill just because I know the layout of the land. I know these sheds are up here. We might as well loot them while we're here. Look at that. Some shoddy slug, is it? Single? Okay. Take it. Nothing in, yeah? But I want the elevation that this spot gives us. Alright, bit risky sitting in a tree. Like this. You can zoom in on the PC. I'm clicking in on my mouse wheel. But we don't need to do that. We can go one better. We can have a look at tents. So you can expect several zombies. But these tents can drop you ammunition if you kill them. Bags, vests, etc. And in those tents, you're probably not going to get much better than a Colt. Maybe you're lucky and you get a Colt mag. And we've already got a couple of 45 rounds off that Humvee early doors. So if I was carrying this character on, I'd be overwatching, or trying to. I need to do that more IRL when I'm playing. Making sure nobody's already down there fighting the zombies or looting. Especially when we've got these binos, might as well utilise them. Looks pretty clear, unless someone's just sitting there sorting out loot. There are a couple of zombies chilling. But yeah, I would normally loot that, but we're not going to today. Just wanted to show you where it is. Next point of reference I want to show you is the upper Cherno well. Because you want to keep your hydration topped up. We haven't been lucky enough to find a water container yet. But I need to show you where this well is. If you're at these military tents, you're very, very close. Stick to the left-hand side. This little block of houses. It is sort of in the middle of the block, if you like, that I'm looking at. And of course, it's a hot spot. People are going to want to hit this well probably before they leave to go inland. So if you meet someone at this well, you can almost guarantee they've got a pistol at least. Loaded and ready to go. Lots of zombies potentially. But for the purposes of the videos, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to show you where the well is, but I'm going to dip. We're not